We are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the overall board and this overall markets at this particular point in time. Hope everybody's doing very well. Welcome to episode 290 of Trade with Travis, where we take a look at the market for about 25 minutes, being able to see if there's any other trading opportunities to be able to get into it. I look at it from my perspective. I look at it from a swing trading perspective. I also look at it from a scalping perspective. So if you are a person that likes to be able to talk about those styles of trades, this is the place to be able to start taking a look at everything and being able to go from there. For the people that are watching us on YouTube, thanks for being able to watch. Thanks for being able to pop in. I do appreciate each and every one of y'all doing that. Um, don't have, let's see, we'll make sure it shows up. There we go. Good to go. What's going on, CMG? Hope everything's going well with you. Long time no see. I know it's been a while. Uh, finally got finally got done with testing, so um, I've been able to actually clear up some space to be able to do this and not feel as rush as we typically have been doing it. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening with the charts to see what's going on with everything else, and then after that we'll go from there um, and put everything up from there. So let's talk about this. Today, what we're going to end up having, this is the third week of the month. Remember, the third week of the month is typically the the week where you don't have as much high impact news. Let me rephrase that. The third week of the month is where you end up having high impact news. The fourth week of the month is where you don't. This is typically one of the lighter days of the month. But and China's going to end up having an interest rate decision, everything else like that. Today, it's going to end up being just regular stuff to be able to pay around, to be able to talk around with. There's going to be a couple of speeches, but there's not going to be a lot of stuff that's going to make the market this move in general. Going into Tuesday, we're going to end up having a high impact day between Germany, the Eurozone, the British pound, and New Zealand. New Zealand dollar is going to end up having retail sales. The expected number is going to end up being a negative number, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. And then after that, going into Wednesday, New Zealand dollar is going to end up having interest rate decisions. We're going to end up having FOMC meeting minutes. Um, Thursday is going to be a light day, and then Friday is going to end up being basically a light day. So not going to be as much information from a news perspective that's going to make the market move. It's just going to end up being more of what's happening overall with the chart and kind of continuating how the market's going to end up moving from there. Uh, did I ever tell you I got a full ride scholarship? No, but that's great news to be able to hear. There we go. That's nice. That's good to hear. Um, End up talking to a few of the people that you know, and it's pretty much some of the same consensus when it comes down to that. People getting partial and full scholarships, so that's great. There we go. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, United States dollar index. Let's go ahead and talk about this one real quick. United States dollar index from a weekly perspective is coming out of the buy zone, which means that it's basically bullish. We can see what's happening with the overall trend since early 2020. The trend has been on this magenta line and starting to be able to move upwards. That means that as long as this trend line stays above this overall magenta trend line, then we're going to end up seeing that the market is going to remain to be bullish. So just keep that in mind. I think that the market's going to be bullish overall. We can see that the market ended up breaking out of this consolidation that was last week and actually kind of held in this position. So remember, anytime that you end up having a breakout, you're going to typically end up having a retest. Now, two things are kind of concerning to me on this one. You've been around me. If you ever watched me before. What's going on, Peter? You ever watched me before when it comes down to most of these things? What I would end up looking at in general, anytime that you end up having a breakout, is this. Here goes your breakout. Your retest will end up being around here, but you would love your retest to be where the daily is basically in the buy zone or very close to the buy zone. In this case, it's actually in the sell zone, which means that from a mentality standpoint, it's trading in the opposite directions. So this will make me a little bit hesitant to be able to make a move on the dollar just in general until I know what the direction is going to end up being. But because we have light news this week, that may end up meaning that we might end up having consolidation at the starting of the week. And then after that, probably a direction at the end of the week. That's just me talking in general, just based off of what I see at the beginning of Monday before the news and everything else actually ends up starting. But overall, what I'm looking at here is probably we're probably going to end up seeing something like this. Market's going to end up consolidating, probably push up, probably fall down, and then after that, ultimately, there's going to be a decision and movement either to the upside or to the downside. If it pushes up and breaks past the high of 12,920, then we have a fully bullish mode. If it breaks down, then I think that they'll probably try to attract back inside of this consolidation area that we end up having. Then after that, the halfway point will be the area where I will look at being able to trade. So United States dollar index right now, I am going to end up looking at, but it probably won't be the first currency pair that I will look at for us being able to trade inside of. Oil is still in the same position as it was at the beginning of the year. Remember, consolidations between 82.50 and $64 a barrel currently tomorrow. Currently, the market is basically right at the halfway point at 71.67. Until this market actually ends up making a consensus move in one direction and you can be able to be out of this overall area, I still would not trade the Canadian dollar this year. Okay, so not doing anything off of oil. Let's go ahead and take a look at gold. Gold has been, I would say, gold has been this year's winner when it comes down to this, being able to make trades and being consistent. But overall, let's talk about what's been happening over the course of the last few weeks. Um, Remember, we ended up talking a while ago, basically saying that once the market ended up going up past 2007, if it broke above that area, then that means that we'll see that the market be truly bullish, as it has done happen three times throughout the last 3 years when it came down to that movement. Now, it rejected off of 2070, and since then has been falling down. The market currently right now is at 1975. It's basically in the middle of this little small consolidation that we're looking at right inside of here. I'm not going to truly fully call it consolidation, but it's inside of that area. We take a look at what's happening from a daily perspective. Remember, a couple weeks ago, the market was in consolidation for a triangle movement, broke out to the upside, and then after that completed the overall D extension, or completed the overall D extension. Since then, the market has been retesting, or the market has been retracing. So we're going from a B to C phase, basically meaning that this market is making a new wave. And currently, right now, that new wave, the extension, will end up being at 22.49. The market currently, right now, from a retracement standpoint, has already hit the B, meaning that it's already hit an area where I would feel comfortable if the market ends up breaking above and starting to be able to have movement to the upside. I would feel comfortable in being able to make a move off of that and being able to buy. Um, but obviously, I would love to be able to see the market kind of fall down to the sweet spot, 1909 or anything else like that. We just don't know that's going to happen. But last week, we ended up having an inside bar worth of a candlestick. And currently, right now, we see that the market's kind of moving right here. And more importantly, we see that the market is in the buy zone from a daily perspective as well. Now, this matches up with what we just seen with the United States dollar index. Remember, as we were talking about the United States dollar index, I ended up saying that the United States dollar index was in the sell zone. And because it was in the sell zone, that meant to me that I was going to end up holding off and not trading from that perspective, just on the United States dollar in general. Now, that doesn't mean that other pairs may end up having the advantage against the United States dollar. And if we take a look at gold, gold has a advantage. Now, the way that we'll truly know that it's going to end up being a good advantage is by being able to take a look at what's happening with the Japanese yen in general when it comes down to most pairs. So, Peter, you're asking me to take a look at AJ. That will kind of help me out when it comes down to being able to know what's happening with the Japanese pairs in general. Remember, um, there's a big correlation the between gold and what's happening with the Japanese yen in general. We'll see how the market kind of moves from there. Okay, so I actually like being able to buy in this situation off of this one, knowing that the United States dollar is going to end up having some weakness. At least, if anything, we can see that this market may end up going back up to at least 2010 before being able to make the move. Now, earlier, either on Friday or earlier this morning, we could start to see that consolidation starting to build out as well. There was a breakout of this purple trend line, but I think I probably need to adjust the trend line. Yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to wait on this one as well. And we'll see what happens based off of this one. Obviously, if the United States dollar is weak at the beginning of today, then what we end up seeing is that the market may break above that 1975 area, and then after that, continue to keep on moving. Something like this. So it would be something like that: breakout and then retest up in that position. If we get that moving, then I'd be interested in being able to jump in. If we don't, then obviously the market will remain to be in a downside spiral. Okay, so currently right now, uh, I like that one a little bit more than what I've seen, but I'm not going to jump into that one. AJ, been a while since I looked at AJ on this chart, but we'll take a look at it from a weekly perspective. Last time we took a look at this, we said that there was a weekly D extension at 110.08. The market has been retracing. It's going through its B to C phase, and I can see a channel to the downside of how this market has basically been moving. What I mean by channel, I can see this. Here goes your resistance points. Here goes your support points, all going down at an angle. Currently, right now, we're at the top of this overall movement, which means that if it breaks out, then that means that the Australian dollar is going to end up being stronger. Now, we talked about earlier today that the Australian dollar is going to end up having a couple news events that's going to end up happening overall. On Tuesday, we're going to end up seeing, let me go back. On Tuesday, we're going to end up seeing retail sales, and on Wednesday, we're going to end up seeing the monetary policy statement and the interest rate decision. So, with those three things coming out at the same time, I would somewhat expect that this market may stay inside of consolidation um, for the next couple of days, and then after that, actually be able to make a move. Um, from a daily perspective, this is what we're looking at. The market has not pushed all the way up past 92 and being given a break, but I think that 92 is probably going to be in order for the overall movement. Let's take a look at it from a short term perspective and see where it could go. From a short term perspective, 92.69 will end up being a D extension. Currently, right now, it's 100 points away or 100 pips away from this overall position. I would still say that I would be looking at this from a upside movement, just being able to buy, but this wouldn't be the first pair that I would spend my money on today, just because of where it is in consolidation. Um, when I look at anything from a channel perspective, I would love to be able to see that we're right here, where it's broken out, retested, and then being able to move to the upside, or it's done, fell down, and then did something like that. If I believe that the market is ready to kind of make its move and kind of be able to move forward. If you're a person who likes to be able to trade inside of consolidation, then what I would look for is this: let the market get up here, see if it rejects from this overall top spot, have a tight stop loss, and then after that, look at being able to sell down with your exit point at the halfway point of this overall movement. Um, but for right now, we're kind of in a no decision zone at this particular point, Peter. I would just watch it and just kind of see how it plays out. Um, and then after that, I'll make my move. I'll make my decision, knowing that in 2 days there's going to end up being some news. So today the market may move. Tomorrow the market may be in consolidation until the news actually comes out. And then after that, once the interest rate decision comes out for the Australian dollar, then I think you'll see a overall move in general between both of these pairs. Okay, typing a while, yes, if that makes sense. Uh, take a look at US 30. US 30's been everywhere at this particular point. All right, let's talk in general, just from a daily perspective, and kind of go from where we're at. Dow Jones has been on a large consolidation from 34 300 all the way to the support being at 32 540. Um, the market a few weeks ago, or a few days, was going into early March, end up basically falling below this overall area, finding consolidation and popping inside back inside of this overall area. Currently, right now, the market's in consolidation. It's not in a great area to be able to make any trades, as we can see that we're inside of this high volume node as well. So it's kind of dangerous to be able to trade US 30 in general. And I've kind of been on that position of being able to say either I have it or I'm just going to stay away. And currently, right now, I've been kind of staying away from this overall pair in general, unless we can be able to have these small little movements. The last small movement that we end up talking about for us being able to get in was we was trying to be able to enter when the market ended up breaking out of this overall zone at 33 450 and being able to take profit for about 90 points all the way up to 33 560. We ended up getting that, took profit. The market quickly ended up rejecting back inside and then started building consolidation again right back inside of this high volume node that we're looking at right now. So currently, what we're seeing is this. Um, Here goes another consolidation in between that point that matches up with this high volume node, which means that um, if the market ends up breaking below 33,330, that's a lot of threes. If the market ends up breaking below that overall position, then the next area where it would go, or probably seemingly would go from a scalping perspective, would end up being right here, which means that this is nothing more than a very quick scalp. Now, going out to 28 points on the Dow Jones is probably not going to be the best thing to be able to do. Let me see if I can find something else. It's kind of a waste, kind of a waste of a time if we're going to do that. Where's the next high volume node that peaks out from there? Take a look at this from the hour perspective. Okay, so this market falls. Currently, where the market is right now, I know I got a lot of stuff on this chart, but if the market falls from this point, then it kind of matches up with this trade that we ended up taking a look at a while ago that gave us halfway the amount of the points before being able to pop up from this channel. That means that looking at being able to trade down to 32,820. I don't know if I'm going to end up trying to take a sell and trying to make it and trying to expect that the market's going to end up making that movement. But this actually would apply to this overall trade if we're looking at it, especially if we end up getting some um, pretty decent news that's going to make the Dow Jones go down and make the dollar go up. Stop loss will be above the overall consolidation, will be 150 points away. Take profit will be 500 points away if that ends up happening. Um, I'm just using this one as a idea right now. I'm not using this one as a actual move. Um, but that would be the next concern in space. We can also make consideration of 33,150. 33,150 would be the halfway point. It'll be the next high volume node that kind of peaks across from that point. But I do believe if it breaks out of this high volume node and starts to be able to move, that I don't think 33,150 will probably end up being the area where it would legitimately stop. I think it end up being down here. Okay, so that would be my game plan. Not making a move off of it yet, but that would be the thought process. You got a quick scalp and you got a longer term position move to the downside, especially if we end up seeing that this market may end up kind of making some movement from there, or kind of being able to jump around from there. So kind of iffy on that one, but there it is right there. I'll come back to that one. That'll be something that I have to take a look at tomorrow or a little bit later on today and see if that's something that I'm still interested in. Nas 100. So Nas 100. The last time we ended up taking a look at this as a trading opportunity, um, we ended up talking about one position in particular. Being able to see this market kind of break a counter trend line breaking, then being able to pop up from the top. We end up having this large triangle that we talked about, and I ended up keeping it. I did not darken it in because I wanted to show y'all how this was going to end up playing out. This actually played out to the upside. Typically, when you end up seeing rising wedges, you see them kind of move to the downside off of that movement, and because of that, um, I still had two um, positions that I wanted to be able to get into. The first position was from 13,614 all the way up to the D extension at 13,940. And then after that, we end up having another position that we end up getting into at 13,540 all the way up to that position. Currently, right now, the market has pushed up. If we go based off of where it is, it ended up pushing up 167 points between both of these, with the max being right around 200 points. So if you end up catching all of this movement, congratulations. I got into this movement, forgot that I was still in it, and I need to go ahead and exit out of this trade. So if y'all allow me, I'll go ahead and exit out of this trade and make profit off of both of these because I forgot that I was actually in it. But you'll go ahead and do that. Currently, right now, what's happening? Market is retracing. Um, and I can make a case that once it leaves this area right here, 13,787, it's probably going to end up having a free fall down all the way back to at least 13,620, which would be the next high volume node, that little small peak of movement from that spot. So, um, yeah, you end up taking this trade with me. The last time we end up taking this trade, I would say this would be the time to go ahead and get away from it and just kind of keep on moving. Nothing else to be able to do at this point. But there you go. We had a trade from last week that put us in a profitable position. And I personally just closed out both of my positions, took money off of those as well. So there we go. At least we'll start off the week fine. Um, let's see. I'll take a look at Euro United States dollar. Probably not going to see anything great, but just based off of looking at the charts. But we'll go through it. United States dollar index will be the last pair that we'll take a look at from a weekly perspective. Um, Last time I looked at it, market showed consolidation where the high was at 110.30, and it did not create. It had a low, but it did not have a low that hit twice. The low for that price was 1.048, and we're basically right in the middle of that currently right now. You can see that about 4 days, market ended up pushing up, making a high, and then after that, slowly starting to reject. We can see that now. We talk about where's the true resistance off of this. The true resistance would be 1.10, and the true support at this particular price. We're talking about how many times this market has basically hit a low. Um, we could say 1.05 as the actual support. So this is our position to be able to play and kind of pay attention to. As our support resistance or our new support resistance. And then from there, once it breaks out of that area, then after that, I'd be interested in being able to make a move, Peter. Me personally, right now, just looking at it just from a starting perspective, it should have been 1.1. We got 1.190. Okay. Um, Once it breaks out of one of those positions, then after that, I'd be interested in being able to make a move. But I'm going to allow that to be able to play itself out. I know that's from a weekly perspective. That's from a weekly perspective. We take a look at it from a daily perspective. We can see that the market has failed. Um, going based off of what we talked about with gold, we end up saying that gold had a good chance of being able to pop up to the upside based off of United States dollar weakness. We can see the same thing starting to happen right here as well. So if gold ends up having a counter trend line break to the upside, then more than likely what you're going to end up seeing is the Euro United States dollar have a pop to the upside, basically meaning that the Eurozone is going to end up getting stronger. Until that happens, I would not make a move off of this. But once again, if I'm calling this and saying that, okay, well, this market has shown consolidation, and if we're going to treat this as consolidation, this is basically the midpoint. This only gives us a 33% chance of being able to win. So if I'm picking my spot, this wouldn't be the spot to be able to jump in on Euro United States dollar. Um, there we go. So took a look at about 7 pairs at this particular point in time. If I'm saying that I'm interested in one of them, I'll probably say I'll probably be interested in gold a little bit more than anything else. Um, but overall, I think that going into this week, I think that we have some pretty optimistic positions that we could look at and being able to jump into. If you like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button, as it does help out. And also, if you have not started to subscribe, don't hesitate to subscribe and be able to follow along. We are 11 people away from being able to hit the 4-figure mark on TradingView, so that would be pretty cool to be able to see happen finally. But other than that, I do appreciate everyone being able to pop in, and obviously you'll be able to see my face a little bit more often as we going into the summer months. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan. I see each and every one of y'all in the next video. Take it easy.